Hello and welcome to another episode of Nothing and Like It, the only podcast chronicling the FWA via its appearances on television. Probably should have written that down, not going to do another take. I am your money in the bank, Kieran Lefort, and joining me, your cash in a plain brown envelope, Eddie Sideburns. Eddie, how you doing?
The cash in an envelope. That's how I should get paid from now on, because I've still not been paid for that cave show at Breed. So if I can get the cash in the envelope first before anything happens, that would be great. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to talk some more FWA with you.
Despite all his rage, he has still not been paid for the cave.
Yeah. Never paid. But I got pneumonia. Brit Rest tired
and that is pain of some type. Yeah.
Yeah.
And your check's in the post. It's Andy Ogden. Andy, how are you?
I'm all right. Doing well.
Full of mead, apparently.
Usually full of piss and vinegar, but yeah, full of mead recently.
So, we are here to talk about two more episodes of the TWC season of FWA. I really wish we'd come up with a better name for it than FWA TV. That was a bit shit, wasn't it? Never mind. That's what it's called, and that's what we're here to talk about. We'll start with episode 17, which is aired on July 29th, 2004. I have called this the Norman Collier episode because the audio dropouts on this file on YouTube are horrendous. I don't know exactly what caused it, but I did notice it seemed to be whenever the volume got really loud. So if anybody shouted in a promo or if the music went up, yeah. I have tried not to let this affect my review of the show because obviously this wouldn't have been on the broadcast version. This is like just the consequence of like digitizing a 25-year-old tape, I think.
I mean, listen, it was really good to see the Sky logo bit at the top, finding out that FWA was on it too, and then World of Sport was on it free, and then it
had the EPG bar, didn't it? Yeah.
I think there was always bits as well where I didn't know, and we'll go into more detail where it was like the screen froze, but I didn't know whether that was an effect done by you or by the film.
Yeah, that's that. This is something else I need to bring up. This is also a censored episode. We don't have many of these. Like, since I did the remasters, we don't have many of these. But this is one of the ones that has slipped through the net. There is no uncensored version of this available.
Kieran, was literally Birchall's bong came out?
What's the censor for that reason? Yeah. Censor for reasons of violence and foul language. So as well as all the accidental audio dropouts, there are some intentional audio dropouts, usually when the crowd starts swearing. These are the ones where you can still hear the commentary, because rather than dip the whole audio track or bleep stuff, I would just cut holes in the crowd audio. Seemed like a better idea at the time than probably it actually was looking back. So, cold open, Broxbourne Civic Hall loading dock, and here's an angry Jack Xavier, sometimes in colour, sometimes in black and white. Andy is already shaking his head. We are 3 minutes into this recording.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible program. You know, what's that about?
Oh,
you want
okay,
Sam?
so...
Come get Sam.
He says he should be mad after losing the last man standing match to Alex Shane on the best episode ever that we covered last month, but he's not. He says Alex brought out the fire in him that Alex had wanted all along, and now it's burning inside. As you kind of alluded to there, I've always got a chuckle out of his delivery of, Aid Vanson, what was that about? Belt shot? What's that about? And then he finishes by saying, if Have wants some of this fire, he can get some, and he does a little brooding. I think generally what he says is okay, but the delivery is lacking. He is like someone who's been told to act angry and is uncomfortable about doing it, rather than really feeling it. And it comes off a bit like he's trying to keep his voice down and not disturb anybody.
Like a petulant child, or like Kevin off Kevin and Perry, and what's it about? Boy, he turned into Roland Rat with that impression of mine.
I enjoyed the moments of it going into colour and black and white, and then kind of like that stuff. I like the effects of it.
This is just me trying to make single take, single camera interesting, and like if I've got stuff to cut out, if they stumble over lines, I've got to find a way to cut them out.
I mean, I thought it was good. It's kind of like it's a technique you've kind of been using in previous kind of things, so it's a continuation of it. I did mistaken when he said Hayde Vanson for just what's that about before he even realised he actually mentioned Hayde Vanson. But yeah, I was fine with it. I thought it was all right. He's it brought everything along and kind of made sense as to maybe we're going to see a bit more of a serious Jack Xavier as we go along.
No longer the funky chunky monkey.
No.
Opening titles, practically silent thanks to the audio dropouts. And then you can come with me through the portal to the ukulele zone where we find John Atkins. For the third week in a row, we are promised that the family are recruiting a new member. Plus, we get Doug Williams defending the FWA title against D'Lo Brown in the main event. But first, we're off to the Morecambe Dome for a match I didn't think aired after Tony Giles had told us it had already happened. So don't I look like a twat? It is Nikita versus Stevie Knight.
I was saying here, and I think I mentioned to you, the crowd in the Morecambe Dome, very sparse on this evening.
You think?
Yeah, I said to you it looked like that taping, but when we did that UWA show in Blackpool, where it was just empty seats and a smattering of kids.
So this show, there's no import on the show. The last one, so it had been 7 weeks, I think, since the last Morecambe taping, and there were no imports. So it's not running on a regular schedule, and your main draws are Johnny Storm, James Ty, and the rest of the FWA regulars. Like Doug Williams isn't even on this show.
So the people of Morecambe were literally drawing the curtains that evening. It's like no imports.
Drawing the curtains, not drawing a crowd. Yeah, it was certainly down. I do believe that the D'Lo show was the first Morecambe show to actually turn a profit.
Nice.
And then, like 6-7 weeks later, we got this. We just got the regular crew in town.
I could do the proper Tony Schiavone bit where I say James Ty. That'll put a lot of bums in seats. James Ty.
Poor man.
One of the things I was going to say, John Atkins, again, appreciate you, ukulele man. I do like he was building up to what isn't in the small screen beside him until the end, which it then cuts into it.
And so bear in mind, he has no idea. Well, he does have an idea. I've probably edited it and told him what's going to be playing. And there's a fair chance we'll have done 2 takes, one where he references the screen and one where he doesn't, depending on how far through the cut I am at that point. But he at that point can't physically see what is going to be playing on that screen. What John sees is me, a camera, and the rest of his living room when we're shooting those segments.
And his ukulele in the corner, which he goes, one day I will use that.
To make my millions.
Yeah. But yeah, and one thing as well, just quickly, and then I will be quiet and let you go on. The voices bit, I'd like that. That was something we hadn't seen. I like that we cut the voices to see who it was, Tony Giles.
Oh, the little thing in the corner says voices of Tony Giles and Nick London.
I appreciate it. It's the little things for me.
So Nikita starts out with a slap and then arm drags and clotheslines Knight all over the place before he bails. She counters everything he tries when he comes back in until he fights dirty by yanking her over the ropes and pushing her off the apron, I assume into the barrier, because this is where we get the first bit of censorship, and it freezes while she's mid-air. I was apparently being very cautious with the censorship, and people getting thrown into metal objects was right out.
It's proper SmackDown 10 a.m. on Sky.
I know.
Yeah.
That's because we would have like 9, 10 a.m. showings, and I didn't... I mean... I probably, thinking about it now, I probably would have been smarter and would have asked Sean for a list of stuff that had to be censored, or send me an example of a perfectly censored episode so I know what to cut.
Well, you should have done like, you know what WWE used to do, just go to a fan sub with FWA, just random shots of Ben and his horn, innit?
Yeah, but as you said, there weren't any in the Morecambe Dome on that night to come to.
I was just imagining like a steel chair shot at 10 a.m. in the morning being covered by like one guy and Ben with his hat on with the air horn.
Or I should have got that shot from SmackDown they kept using. So it's like 300 people in the Morecambe Dome, someone gets a chair out and it cuts to 5,000 people 5 years ago on SmackDown. So in the ring, Stevie goes after Kat's back and then goes to the eyes when she tries to fight back. He takes too long chasing her into a corner and gets decked with a boot, but she misses an elbow off the middle rope. Nick London claims that this could cause the elbow to explode, with liquid, and then she'd have to retire and Stevie would be 10 grand better off. Oh, this is the £10,000 bounty match, by the way.
Yeah.
So all that idea that Stevie Knight was the person to put the bounty on Nikita in the first place, that's out the window, unless he's like, fuck this, I just want my money back.
I was actually going to mention the elbow drop, because it was fucking dreadful. My note here, one of these that I used to do to the teddy bears when I was 6-year-old upstairs.
It is a small ring. He is very close to that corner. She probably could have picked something else, but it's not the finest hour. So one of the things Stevie Knight does a lot in this match is jawing with the crowd. Like, he is in a constant battle with the front row.
He keeps saying, "Shut your mouth, boy," and I just kept hearing it over and over again. And I'm like, what is this boy saying to him?
I don't know. Something in Morecambe that he didn't appreciate.
Yeah, there's a bit where one of the commentators, I think roughly it's about the time with the elbow exploding thing, where it's like illegal mugging or something like that gets mentioned. Again, obviously, because of the...
like the audio issues on this show. Also, in this match in particular, the mix sounds terrible. You can hardly hear the commentators over the in-ring action. This is not FWA TV's finest hour for sure. So they get into this pattern of Knight hits a big move, Nikita kicks out the cover, Stevie puts on a chin lock, Nikita escapes, tries to start something, gets put down again. They do that 2 or 3 times. Eventually, she hits a flying head scissors and a monkey flip, but her back gives out on a slam. Knight puts her up on the top turnbuckle and climbs up for what I'm going to call the Magnum Tokyo variant of the top rope Frankensteiner, which basically means he swivels his dick in her face. So she punched him in the nuts to knock him off, hits a top rope dropkick and gets the pin. Afterwards, I like that she sold that this was a big deal that she'd beaten him. And I liked that he sells that he can't believe he lost. Like, this is a devastating blow to his manhood. How can he show his face down the pub after this, etc.? I put this as better than the Burridge match, but like that one, I didn't like the finish much. So in the Burridge match, Nikita won off a flash pin, and in this one, she had to use a low blow. And maybe I'm looking at it through 2025 eyes, but I think she comes off much stronger if she has a defined finisher. Like, every match we see her, she wins with a different move. And if she's beating the men clean with it. Like, so they can put her through the ringer like Stevie did here, like constantly going after her back as he did or whatever. But she should be shown to be better than these misogynist characters that are coming after that bounty.
Wouldn't the low blow be illegal? Shouldn't it be a DQ? Am I maybe
yes, it should.
It in the ref?
You can. It's quite funny that you cannot see the ref in the camera shot when she does it.
Yeah,
I think Linsky referees every match as well. We're talking about this month.
Well, let's hold off just yet on that. Yeah, I think I agree with you where it's a case of, again, especially if you're trying to put her over, is this like she's conquering everyone. You want to kind of do it cleanly, whereas she's just low blowing them. It's not like she's telling the ref to look another way or anything like that. It's just happening. The drop kick's not bad. I mean, it's difficult because obviously I think it was okay. That's my real thought of it. I don't think there was anything awful about it. I did at one point think Stevie Knight had the Evolve logo on his gear, but then I realised it's just like a thing with that says SK. It's a
roundel thing with the words in the wrong order. It says night, it's time instead of it's night time, which is what I think he thought it said. Andy, you've been making all sorts of faces through this. I guess you didn't like this very much.
And the days of Nikita versus Mark Sloan are long gone. I just thought Stevie Knight held this together. Nikita off night again. I did say I think Stevie did a really good job. So he sold all of her offense like it was something. He sold it all really well. And there was nothing likable about him when he was on top. He was just being like a nasty piece of work. Yeah.
But you're right. No, it was. It did feel like a carry job for sure.
Yeah, I went 1 star on it.
Ooh. Ow.
It's a supposedly big storyline, and it's just like it's just tapered off, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I think we're at a point now where you kind of want to see Nikita take on another woman. No offense for the whole thing, but it's like, but there's no one else, is there? There's no one really else at the moment in time.
No, there isn't.
They're probably digging up Lexi 5, aren't they? That's it.
Pippa Levin.
Yeah, I mean, Stevie Knight is more commonly known. He's well popular around Morecambe, isn't he? It's like one of those because he's the booker or something like that, or
no. So he's out of Cleethorpes and Grimsby.
Okay. But yeah, I thought he was good. He held it together.
Website ad crossfades into an ad for a TV taping at Southbury Leisure Centre on August the 7th. The ticket hotline is patently just Sanjay Baggar's mobile number. So if any of our listeners want to phone Dial a Twat, dig this episode up and give that a call. Birchall's bong goes off, and this week's monster moment is inaudible. The sound gremlins have proper fucked with this, so you can decide your own commentary over clips of Guildford Pool versus Hampton Court British Uprising 2. The table bump is censored. Fuck you, Ofcom. Paul Birchall wins. Another monster moment next week.
It was like one of those silent films where it's like,
I know. Like, yeah, it just needs like a rattly old piano and scratchy film effects over it, doesn't it? And interstitial title cards. Simmons, fetch me a chair. And what I've said, is there an ad break? There's not an ad break. Oh no, I know why there's not an ad break. I'll shut up and get on with it. Right. Our screen is then filled with Brandon from New Jersey. Sorry, Brandon from New York, low key. He says it's been a year since he's been in the FWA, and next week we'll see him return to the company to wrestle James Ty. He will prove that it is not the of the, but the of the he, according to the audio. James Ty, the FWA and the United Kingdom. All you can do is be ready.
Voice absolutely does not match the body, even if it's
I know, right?
even in certain bit.
I don't know why he didn't fuck off wrestling entirely and just become a voice actor or do voiceovers for trailers. Like, why would you put your body through all this when you can make a comfy living just standing in front of a microphone saying, "In a world."
Brandon, if you are listening, I do apologise, because the first thing I did when I put this is I wrote down, here we go, Midget Agent 47, Loki is here next week against James Ty. His voice absolutely does not match the body. And all I can think of is that New Japan where he dressed up as Agent 47 and it's like you shrunk him.
And got fired. Like, they told him specifically not to do that. They're like, we do not have the rights to this IP, you can't do this. And he did it anyway.
I'm glad he's back. I'm glad we get to see him again. James Ty, which I just thought, that's going to be some interesting stuff, and we'll talk about it as we go on. So back from the ad break, and John tells us that Simmons was recently due to have a match to settle who the number one contenders to the tag title really are. So remember, Simmons and Birchall technically are, but Greg Lambert is protesting their eligibility because Birchall wasn't supposed to be in the match that decided the contendership. As we see Simmons try on Ben's hat in the picture-in-picture, John says the family had other ideas. And so we go to Broxbourne, and the family are confronting Simmons in the ring. Lambert mocks the crowd chanting for Simmons and tells Simmons to snap out of it. He says the crowd don't really love you at all. He says you're a comedy character, a figure of fun, and the people laugh when you're around, but they're not laughing with you, they're laughing at you. He says if Simmons just got serious for a second, he could have limitless potential and could be the FWA champion. Tonight, he's offering Simmons the chance of a lifetime, the chance to join the family. I love that in the background, Scott Parker and Raj go both do the family crucifix pose, and when Travell doesn't, they each lift up one of his arms so he's doing it as well. Like holding him like they're preparing a chicken to go in the oven.
Kieran, I'd like to point out here a few things. So Simmons looking like a lost Gallagher brother with that mono brow. The Greg offering Simmons the chance to join the family, and the crowd chanting "Just say no," like the Green Chill smash it. And there's a moment here where we'll have to send for the man as that's Kieran can be seen laughing his ass off while on the job during this promo. Please explain, Kieran, what went wrong here.
It was funny. What can I tell you? It was funny.
It's the funniest one. It's the fact, obviously, from the beginning of the whole promo, I see you jumping up on the camera and then just suddenly you start laughing at this, like, serious moment.
Yeah, it doesn't help that I'm like 6'2" and 9 stone at that moment. So like I'm a fucking like pale rake. And then for whatever reason, I'm wearing that grey Zebra Kid t-shirt rather than a black one. So I'm not blending in. I mean, I look like a fucking traffic light in the middle of the ring. Yeah, I've got no excuse for this. It was funny. That's it.
Oh, I loved it. It was the best moment. There was a moment where I didn't know whether they were chanting Simmons or something else. It sounded like they were chanting something else at the same time. And there was maybe overarching chants. The Just Say No bit, yeah, absolutely did hear that. I put Greg wants Simmons to go full Lance Storm, if I can be serious for a moment. But yeah, yeah, just couldn't stop. Like, as soon as Andy put in the group chat was send for the man moments, I didn't know what it was, and then I saw you.
I think as well, can't we all agree, Greg Lambert, so fucking good on the mic, isn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's just mustard. Don't miss a beat.
He says Simmons is just like the family because he is from the downtrodden classes. He's been abused by the Duke of Danger. Where was Duke at New Frontiers? Matter of fact, where's Duke now? The Duke doesn't care about you, he says. Buttercup protests that he does care, but Lambert bulldozes over and tells Andy that all he has to do is ditch that ridiculous butler outfit, ditch the Duke of Danger, and most importantly, pointing to Buttercup, ditch that rough little scrubber right there. This is Simmons' breaking point. Like, he dives for Greg, he grabs him by the lapels, and he gets the mic off him, and he tells Lambert not to speak about her like that again. And then when he fronts out, he realizes he's not supposed to have the microphone, fronts up to Greg again, and it gets handed back over. Greg says, you've made your choice, and if you're not with the family, you're against the family. And so the lads pounce, and they beat him down. As Travell and Parker give him the double Russian leg sweep, Raj spots Buttercup and gives her his Ghostbuster leg sweep DDT. And then make sure to cover his girlfriend's modesty when he gets back up. Lambert commands Travell to go and get a chair and says, this is what Drew would want. And he's pointing to the picture in the corner and says, look in those eyes. Look into Drew's eyes. Travell is hesitant, and this is where Lambert turns. He's gone from grinning about all of this to deadly serious. And the camera turns to the just as Lambert is getting serious, the camera turns to the portrait of Drew and the fucking state of this thing. Like, there's no glass in the picture frame.
Got the photo of it there.
Yes.
I'll send you. I've also got, sorry, just quickly, I got the giggling man. I'll send it in the group chat.
No, it's fine. There's no need for any of this. You're all good. Don't worry. No extracurriculars required from you. No. It's like a raggedy colour photocopy that's just practically falling out of the frame. Greg takes the chair. Hang on, what have I done here? I've skipped a bit. That's what I've done here. Greg tells Paul this is a big boat. Greg tells Paul this is his big moment and then says, actually, let me do it. And he takes the chair. Paul vacates, and then the Duke of Danger slides into the ring. And he sets about Raj and Scott with a piece of wood and smashes the photo frame over Parker's head. That's why there's no glass in it. The Drew picture falls out, and Greg, in the perfect way of not telling somebody what to do, says, don't you dare rip that photo up. So Duke grabs the photo, turns to the hard cam, and tears it perfectly across the neck, so Drew's head comes off his shoulders. Couldn't have done it better. Duke shows that he does care by checking on Buttercup, and outside Greg is beside himself, and Travell is smiling at all this unfolding carnage. Duke gets the mic, and he tells Lambert to bugger off and says, shut your face, fatty, prompting a debate between Parker and Ghost in the aisle about who the fat one is. Duke exclusively reveals that the family attacked him at New Frontiers, and they protest and deny it, and he says he could tell by the smell. He tries to make a gay joke, but it's not a gay joke. He didn't even have to. He says any group of men who stay together that long are bound to smell worse than Simmons after an entire day mucking out the stables. That alone means they are in for a shoeing of a lifetime, but combined with the fact that they are led by a fat Scotsman, and Simmons, you know there's nothing I hate more than a fat Scotsman, they are in for a thrashing so severe it will surpass even the great Peasant Battering of 1611. He says the family are now dealing with the Hampton Court Collective, they're coming for the belts, and they will prove that they are indeed a class apart. Is there one line in that promo Mr. Cybones would like to take issue with?
I mean, well, to be fair, he is a fat Scotsman, Drew. So, I mean, kind of not massively. My favourite moment is the shut it fatty, who's fatty, he's fat and he's like, "You're fatty," and he's like, "He's not fat."
Yeah.
I found that great.
Like, I like how they couldn't
funny.
decide who it was, and then like immediately leapt to each other's defense, saying, "He's not fat. He's not fat."
Yeah, this was a great segment. This is really, really enjoyable, fun. The stuff with the photo and Lambert wanting to do it, and then ask for Travell to look in the eyes of the photo of Drew, and stuff like that. The DDT that Buttercup took from, gosh, my God, that was brutal. But yeah, I enjoyed the segment. It was good.
Yeah, don't forget she is a wrestling trainee, like, so she does know how to bump.
Yeah.
Any more head shaking for this one, Andy?
The only bit of head shaking I'd have is for the Duke of Danger as a promo. Just not good.
You have just listened to 5 minutes of Greg Lambert, though.
I know, yeah. He just comes across as a bit playing a role or acting.
That's kind of it. The Duke of Danger is very much a character. And I like the truth is too, obviously, on Greg Lambert's side.
Yeah,
but
it's very 13th Duke of Wimborne, isn't it? Me, the
my reputation.
In danger here in Broxbourne with my reputation.
Winning the tag titles at 3 a.m.
Yeah. That's the only thing I didn't like.
Yeah, no, I do. I kind of understand that. But as I said before, when like we talked about the rise of Simmons, like it was very hard for them to keep him relevant, particularly as like after the arm break and he's out, and so Simmons is by himself, so he's just gathering more and more popularity before like Duke is ready to come back. It was difficult. This is the official face turn, though. Like Hampton Court are definitely baby faces now. It's no more the crowd cheer for Simmons and Duke doesn't like it. There is not going to be. You're not going to get Simmons turning on Duke. Like this is the baby face turn. They are a team.
Yeah.
So something we haven't had for a while. A page turn. Hampton Court reaction promo backstage. Duke commands Simmons to dab him with a towel and tells the family that nobody tries to take his staff away from him. He says, "You've incapacitated my maid and injured my butler." He says he now has nobody to clean his underwear or polish his trophies, and there will be absolutely no weekly maid inspection. He tells the family they are coming for the tag titles, asks Simmons if he has anything to say, and then covers his mouth with his hand before he can even open it and drags him out of the shot. He did this because I remember shooting it, and he was like, "I don't have an outline. Like I don't know. I don't know how to end this."
Question: I don't think we've heard Simmons talk yet, so.
Not much. Well, I mean, he did. He got a line in the segment with Lambert, but like he's not the promo guy in this duo, is he?
But I'm thinking like when he goes on a big like
No, like he's not getting like 5 minutes with Mean Gene.
Yeah,
they're like buses. Two come along at once. Another page turn. The family are in the loading dock. Most of this is lost to audio dropouts. But Greg is distraught over what's happened to Drew's picture. And he said, as far as I can make it out, he says that Drew will be furious when he finds out. And he knows how to make Drew happy again. And they are going to tear Hampton Court apart. We go back to John quickly to cue up the main event. As the picture-in-picture... Do that again. As the picture... Oh, fuck me. What is up to that? I'm telling you, it's boiling in here.
As you can see in picture-in-picture, that D'Lo Brown has a microphone. And he takes it directly to the ring.
Look at that. Eddie there with the save. Yes. This is D'Lo Brown versus Doug Williams. FWA title. Crunch. April 11th, 2004. So this takes place 6 weeks before our opener.
Jesus Christ.
And because of the FWA title, that means it's Andy's favourite stipulation. It's 2 out of 3 falls.
Ugh.
Yep.
I wonder how this is going to end up.
I wonder. So D'Lo does indeed have the mic, and he, of course, is asking Broxbourne if they are down. They are, obviously. And he says he doesn't care and promptly turns heel, saying the only reason he came to this hellhole of a country was to beat Doug Williams for the FWA British title, take it back to Chicago, and rename it the US title. And he goes into full holiday camp panto promo mode, saying he doesn't want to hear anybody chanting D'Lo sucks because he damn sure doesn't suck. Jane Charles introduces Doug. Brown stalls on the outside. The bell rings, and we go to break. Going into the break, there is a line from Nick London where he's talking about the two big moves that D'Lo Brown has, and has a really weird delivery on the lowdown. This was a pickup line, either because Andy botched it, or it needed to be read a certain way to head into the break. How do I know this?
The lowdown! The lowdown! The lowdown!
Yes.
The lowdown! The lowdown! The lowdown. Can I do one more? The lowdown.
I still have the original take.
I remember you sent us this, and I was like, the lowdown.
Yeah.
And yeah. That. By the way, can I just say how much of a pro is D'Lo Brown? Again, just reiterating what I knew. I've put heel D'Lo out of nowhere. Christmas is ruined. Boo! I mean, yay Chicago, but boo the rest. D'Lo is such a pro; it's unbelievable.
Well, you're contractually obliged to yay Chicago, aren't you? So
yeah. But yeah, he's honestly just, again, we mentioned it when he was last on. He's such a good professional.
Yep. So back from the break, and Tony Giles explains that D'Lo got this shot basically because Doug was a nice guy. When Johnny Storm refused to put the XPW European title on the line in his match with D'Lo, Williams said if Brown wanted a shot at a championship, all he had to do was ask. So D'Lo asked, and Doug gave him the title shot. So lock up. Brown pushes Williams back into the corner, climbs up and does the head wiggle in his face while going, "You better recognise, motherfucker," prompting the crowd to chant, "Please don't swear." One thing I'd totally forgotten to mention up until this point was that throughout 2004 and maybe 2003 as well, part of the pre-show preamble that Jane and John would do was telling the crowd to cheer, boo, have a great time, but please don't swear. And it became a running joke because practically everybody ignored them, but it meant the crowd would get on the case of any wrestler who swore. So D'Lo then just waggles his head at the fans, spurring them on to chant, "Please don't shake." So Duck Williams. There's a gimmick for you.
Jenny Storm versus Duck Williams.
I was going to go with CP Monk and Duck Williams. So Doug uses technical British trickery to reverse a couple of D'Lo holds, and D'Lo gets the ropes to escape each time. As London prattles on about Dan Severn injuring D'Lo's intercostal muscle several years ago, the wrestlers run through a high spot that ends with Brown popping Doug up, presumably for the sky high, but Williams goes over the top into a sunset flip for a 2 count. Old Douglas then goes on the attack with strikes and a chin lock, and then gets counts off a couple of knee drops. Dilophosaurus Brown uses an eye poke to get back on top, and they get into a striking contest. Williams collapses on a slam attempt and comes up holding his back. Brown now has a target. As in the first match, he's going for the back. Doug bounces out of a corner whip straight into the sky high, and D'Lo claims the first fall. Second fall starts almost immediately with Brown picking up where he left off as the commentary argue about the refereeing. Linsky is our ref. And Tony Giles is convinced that Linsky is in D'Lo's pocket, like starting the second fall immediately.
Whose pocket isn't he in, if we're really being honest about it at all at this point?
Linsky will take a tenner from anybody.
Yeah, just, may not turn up if you need him. One of the things that we were talking about at the beginning when the commentary, I liked how they were talking about how D'Lo maybe hasn't seen a lot of Doug because Doug isn't on tape, whereas D'Lo is on TV.
I understand what they're going for. It does make Doug sound a bit shit, though.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and that D'Lo can't be asked with tape traders.
My thing is, you think D'Lo was a tape trader, and then they're talking about judo. Which obviously I know is going to pop my my colleague Mr. Ogden, because they talk about Doug's judo championships, and I put Doug knows his judo well then, and then obviously story of the match will be on Doug's back. But yeah, there's so much for Linsky. I'm gonna go into a rant at one point soon, so just hang fire for that.
Just let me know when. So Doug sloppily slips out of a second sky high and hooks on the crossface. Brown escapes by grabbing the ropes and regains his advantage by booting Doug in the back while he's arguing with Linsky. There's a little bit of outside the ring stuff, and then Doug fires up with slaps, getting a great face first bump out of D'Lo. D'Lo kicks away a lariat and gets Naffle. What the fuck is that? Oh, right. I've been screwed over by Apple Notes here. It's supposed to say gets a near fall. It says gets a Nerf All. So they get out the Nerf guns. He does a sit-out version of the catatonic. Anyway, Doug then avoids a corner charge, meaning D'Lo hits the post shoulder first, and Doug traps him in that bridging hammerlock he used on Mark Belton to equalise by submission. Ad break. Out the ads, third fall, and Williams goes for the same hold, but D'Lo gets the ropes to escape. Then use them to choke Doug, including doing a muscle pose while standing on the champ's shoulders, pushing his neck into the middle rope. Brown gets a 2 off a diving lariat to a seated Williams. Doug pops out of another sky high attempt into an O'Connor roll, but Brown holds the ropes and then comes out with a shining wizard as Williams rolls to his knees. This was quite slick and nicely done, I thought. Doug kicks out again as Nick London reminds us that that's the move that CM Punk used to pin Raven. 2 men we will never see again. D'Lo stuffs the Revolution DDT attempt and plonks Doug on the turnbuckles, but he's too busy telling the crowd how much he doesn't suck, giving Williams the opportunity to hit the Revolution off the middle rope. He can't hook the leg low. Leg low? Fuck me. He can't hook the leg though, so D'Lo kicks out. I've got so much editing to do. Doug, I'll let you finish whenever you're ready. So I need to play the Michael Jackson again.
Yes. I'm trying so hard, and I love everything you're doing, but it's every mistake where you say, "Oh, fuck off."
I know. All right.
Just keep fighting for it, babe. You're doing so well. I'm so proud.
I can just mute you. Doug runs wild with his knee strikes until D'Lo swats one aside, hits a big powerbomb, and turns Doug over into the Texas Cloverleaf. Williams can't reach the ropes, but equally, Brown can't step over Doug's back to complete the hold. Doug gets the ropes. D'Lo perches him on the buckles again and climbs up, but Doug fights off a superplex, knocks Brown out to the middle of the ring, and connects with the bomb scare knee drop to score the winning fall, just as he had against CM Punk.
The powerbomb into the Cloverleaf is superb. That is so good and so crisp looking. That was great.
I'm going with technically fine, but not super interesting. It's another 3 and a bit Doug Williams match, I think. And he's making funny faces, which either means he thought this was 1 or 5. The crowd seemed to enjoy it a lot, though. So this is from Crunch, and I believe the second half of this show went Last Man Standing, Storm versus Dutt, Family Hampton Court segment, and then this match. So the people were pretty happy with the second half of this show. Andy, explain your funny faces. 1 or 5?
Around about 3.75 on this one.
Okay, I went like 3.25 to 3.5, so not that far off.
Yeah, it's just when you said, "Oh, it was just technically all right," but
Something else is like over the. I imagine this was your first time seeing this match, right? Unless you caught it on the Wrestling Channel 20 years ago.
I probably saw it 20 years ago, but I can't.
Yeah, probably.
It,
I have seen it a whole bunch of times in between that as well. So like, this isn't new to me in any way.
What I got out of it was I want to see more D'Lo Brown in All Japan, because if this is a worker, of what was turning up, fucking hell, he was good.
Yeah, he's good. He's really good.
He was good in WWE, WWF, but this is just like another level.
Generally, if I'm playing career mode on WrestleMania 2000 or No Mercy on the N64, I would very often choose D'Lo Brown.
Yeah,
he's one of my favourite video game wrestlers.
To be honest, I know I've called Doug Williams the Steve Davis of FWA, but I thought he worked perfectly fine here.
Yeah,
probably because the personality of D'Lo's carrying it a bit.
It is a bit. A lot of the problem with Doug's matches is none of them are backed by a story. They're all International Challenger of the Month.
Yeah.
So, apart from the wrestling, you've got nothing to get your teeth into. And that's kind of my issue. Like, I think I would rate this higher if this had something else going into it. Your only storyline is D'Lo magically turning heel 30 seconds before the match.
He's basically making it more of a sporting contest than an actual, like...
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, the heel turn on the mic is a shortcut. You can tell that same story during the match with it having started as a sporting contest, and D'Lo starts to cheat more and more as it goes on. Or not even more as it goes on. Like, he wins the first fall by flat out cheating.
Yeah. But if you do just a small thing like that to, what is generally a family audience in Morecambe, it's going to just work a treat like
this
that.
Is the other thing. So the Broxmore audience is much more of the smarky online crowd than Morecambe is.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there aren't some of them in the Morecambe crowd, but that is very much more of a casual WWE fan family audience.
Yeah.
Where do you sit on this, Eddie?
Yeah, I'm probably a 3.5. I thought it was fine. There was, I mean, again, the result you kind of knew what was happening with the 2-1. I was probably kind of looking back and watching D'Lo in TNA because he was in TNA at this point, and he was. I think I'm looking on Cage Match, and 3 days later he wins the NWA World Tag Team titles in the Tennessee State Fairgrounds against Dallas and Kid Cash.
Oh, good Lord.
With Gran Apollo.
Jesus.
Now.
And then about 7 days later, they lose the titles by DQ again in another NWA TNA pay-per-view. I will also make sure to send Andy Ogden the link to D'Lo in Japan, which is IVP, I think, has a link to that.
Oh, nice.
I mean, he's a very good professional. Like he's always been doing this for quite some time. And again, we kind of know what the result is. We know what's coming out of it. But yeah, I thought it was okay. It was, I'd say 3.5. I'd agree with what a lot of Andy said. D'Lo doing the quick, I'm going to be a heel and this is how I'm going to do it, kind of works for the moment, you know, to give Doug a babyface reaction, especially because you don't want people cheering D'Lo more over Doug at that point, I guess, depending on your crowd. So yeah, I thought this was, again, Doug. Again, we've already discussed it before. When you put the foreign guys with the certain group of people we've talked about, the match always seems to be good.
This is the point in time where Doug Williams is commonly accepted to be the best wrestler in the UK. So if there was a visitor, they were wrestling Doug.
Not surprised, because again, is he still doing Japan by this point on the?
Yeah, he's in Noah. He's in Noah and he's in Ring of Honor. So like, it's not easy to get hold of Doug Williams in the FWA throughout 2004. Mr. Atkins says he never knew 60 minutes could fly by quite so quickly, but unfortunately we are out of time. There is just time to plug James Ty versus Low-Key, Simmons versus Paul Travell, and Alex Shane and Hayde Vanson versus Aviv Mayan and Jack Xavier for next week. I call this a good standard baseline show. I think if I watched a weekly 1 hour wrestling show and it had 2 matches of at least this quality, bearing in mind I thought the Nikita match was better than you did, and a segment at least that good each week, I'd be pretty happy. I mean, I'd even settle for a Duff match and a good main event with a decent segment, to be honest.
Yeah.
I have to say, though, trying to watch with all the audio dropouts was fucking torture. I am going to have to look in every corner of my flat to see if I've overlooked the master tape of this, because I don't want to put any more people through watching that. I think I have the family loading promo somewhere, but that's all from this episode.
I did put at one point during my comments, "Oh dear Lee," but then I realised it's probably Lee not to blame when it's...
No, it's not. It's just what he's got available. You know, it's his old VHS tape or whatever. And so we move to episode 18, August the 5th, 2004. The opening titles are interrupted by a countdown telling us that Alex Shane will steal the show in 5 seconds, steal the show in 4 seconds, etc., etc. Alex Shane green screen promo in the wrong aspect ratio. This was my fault. He looks very tall and very thin because this was shot anamorphic because it was done in Manchester by that studio, and I didn't realise until it was too late. On the screen behind him plays big colour-washed close-ups of Hayde Vanson's face. He says, everything people are saying and all the conspiracy theories about him are true. He is manipulating the world of British wrestling to become beneficial to himself and his friends. It's essentially a because of the fans promo. He says it all began when Hayde Vanson walked into his wrestling school and Alex immediately earmarked him as a star. But it didn't work out that way because the fans refused to cheer for him because he's everything they're not, which is the same reason they didn't get behind him either. This man is clearly forgetting the 2 years where he was a massively over babyface with the FWA audience.
He even brings up one of the main reasons why he was one of the biggest babyfaces in Ulf Herman, and then it's like, oh well,
yeah,
I've not been liked.
Yeah,
but the eyes, man, the eyes, and then it's like red eyes and blue eyes and green eye covers and stuff like this. It's like Andy. If you look at Andy's background, it's like he's almost changing colour at certain points.
Andy looks like he's in a slow disco at the moment. He asks if Vanson winning the All England title at Uprising 2 was planned way in ahead, I quote, and he says yes. He says he was the one responsible for getting Hayde the security gig at Vendetta 2003 when he hopped in the ring to cut his shoot promo. He was the one responsible for keeping the mic on during that promo when he was running down the company. He was the one he got into the fight with at the fan night, the one who got his ticket at Hotwired when he interrupted Flash Barker and Zebra Kid, the one who answered the call from Zebra saying he wouldn't make it to Uprising to defend the title, and the one who snuck Vanson into York Hall. He crosses his fingers and said, "Me and Hayde are like this," and then he sticks out his pinky and says, "And this is everybody else over here." He waffles a bit more and then says he and Hayde are going to infect the FWA with an STD called Shane's Total Domination, and of course there's two things you can do about it. I don't want to think about Alex Shane's STDs, thank you very much.
No one does.
It very much felt like the he'd watched the Vince McMahon, I'm going to inject my company with a poison kind of thing. And it was like, I'm also going to talk you through bit by bit my plan and how it all happened. I don't think the fans really care about the complimentary VIP section, for fuck's sake, Alex.
No, no.
But like, yeah, conspiracy, corruption, call you what I like, it's fact. I mean, it gets to a point, but it's just another way for Shane to get more TV time.
Something you might not be aware of, like at this time, like a lot of British wrestling discourse is about Alex Shane and all the things he is doing to fuck over other people, and all the headlines he's making companies outside the FWA as well. Like he is irritatingly omnipresent in British wrestling at this point. And this is him trying to tie everything together and make a story out of it.
Now he's just anonymously omnipresent, if you hear rumors go to say, you know, so like, fucking who knows? But it's very much a case of like, I'm going to make it about me and I'm going to make sure I'm telling how everything's happening. And it's like, Alex, we really don't need all of this, but okay.
Unfortunately, all the storylines of the FWA run through Alex Shane. So here we are in John Atkins' little black box. He sets up Paul Travell versus Simmons and the main event of James Ty versus Loki, and then throws to Morecambe for the match you both dreamed of last month. Alex Shane and Hayde Vanson versus Aviv Mayan and Jack Xavier.
And this is why you should only dream about it, folks.
Not impressed from the get-go?
And there's one person in this match who I'm just totally not impressed with.
I wonder who that is.
I did like in the bot video bit where they were doing the whole like babyface cheers to the corner.
Yeah. The picture in picture is the babyface versus heel get cheers on the middle rope thing. Yeah,
but as it looks like the heels are going to go and attack them from behind, Aviv and Jack turn around and stop and catch them before doing so. I like that. That was good.
Yeah. So Aviv runs wild on Alex from the get-go until Shane pushes him into the heel corner and tags out. Nick London has this terrible line calling Hayde a Jedi Pimp as Aviv escapes from... surely the Sith would have pimps. Like, the Jedi are too good to be into prostitution, right? This is something that's not explored in the Star Wars universe, I don't think.
I was like, why are you bringing up Jedis? What on earth has this got to do with anything? Ugh.
I'm trying to think, was there a Star Wars movie out at this time? When's...
2004?
Yeah, when's Sith? Revenge of the Sith. Oh, okay.
2005.
So Revenge of the Sith is out the next year.
Yeah, just weird phrase.
So what happens? Oh, Shane distracts Xavier. Heels take over. He and Phantom run some spots at a good clip until Jack trips Hayde and brings Aviv back in. Hayde pokes him in the eye, switches with Alex, who has a choke bomb counted into a tornado DDT. Mayan positions Alex for a moonsault, but Hayde grabs his leg, allowing Shane to shove him off the turnbuckles into the barricade. This episode, by the way, not censored, so you get to see Aviv fly into the barrier.
Yay.
Shane bazzes Aviv all over the ring and locks in the Hayde-assisted abdominal stretch, which then switches to Hayde putting on an Alex-assisted abdominal stretch when they switch without a tag. Nick London actually got a chuckle out of me when he says, all misty-eyed, Hayde's cheating has come such a long way. Aviv eventually runs Hayde into a show stealer boot, flattens both heels with a top rope crossbody en route to tagging out. Jack runs wild on the pair of them, whips Vanson across the ring to where Shane has positioned Aviv on the apron. Hayde vaults over into a sunset flip and Alex swats Mayan's hands off the top rope so he gets power bombed onto the floor. Don't forget, sunset flip into powerbomb on the floor is not happening every week on TV at this point.
Really good though, like a really good. It was a really good thing.
I liked the organic way they got into it as well and made it part of a spot rather than it just a single move that happens. So Jack and Alex do some sort of triple reversal from the greetings from Finsbury Park into the Jack liner, and Hayde saves the pin by pulling Linsky's foot. Linsky goes onto the apron to remonstrate with Vanson. Xavier gets whipped into him, sending him flying off into Hayde. In the ring, Jack turns the one night stand into the Xaviator, and the crowd and Tony Giles count along with the Phantom pin. "It's all over," shouts Giles. "It's not all over," replies Nick London. "You get so excitable." As Hayde slides the All England belt into the ring, did either of you hear the kid in the audience who yells very loudly, "Look out! They're cheating!"
Yeah. Can I also just say as well,
yes.
it's very weird to see Linsky doing like babyface with certain things during this match, given like what we know he's been doing previously before in other things. It's like you gotta stick to the heel reffing, surely.
Well,
at that point.
so the idea is he's not 100% a heel referee. Like he is, he's morally dubious.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll let it slide for the moment.
yeah. And like we said, like he's the post you can nail all the dodgy decisions onto.
Yeah, I guess so.
So Alex bonks Jack in the head with the belt. The Linskoid rolls back in to count, and Xavier kicks out at 2.9. Xavier with a Nipzaguri. Hayde kicks Alex out of the ring and knocks Aviv into his corner, and then goes to town on Xavier with a barrage of kicks. Linsky counts Hayde's cover despite there not being a tag. Xavier hits the X-Plex, but Shane distracting the ref means he's late to count, and Vanson kicks out. Aviv backdrops Alex on the floor as Jack threatens an X-Plex from the middle rope. Hayde fights it, Jack shoves him off, and Alex takes Jack and himself over the top with the Shane Station. Or Shane Station, not the Shane Station. No trains pulling to the Shane Station. Aviv hits a Dragon Rana on Hayde, but at the 2 count, Vanson rolls out of it, herks Mayan up into powerbomb position, and then flips him out into a DDT. This looked great. I don't know when it made its debut, but this move is definitely in some of the SmackDown versus Raw games.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's any of the ones in any of the games that were released before this match happened. And that's the pin. What a move to end on. Like, talk about going out at the crescendo. Nick London calls the result a proud moment for evil people everywhere. This is the match that Hayde pulled me aside to complain about.
Oh.
Why did you cut out all my stuff? Dude, I have 45 minutes a week and a certain amount of stuff I'm told to get into each episode. It was a 15-minute match. 11 of it still made air, and the heels were on top for, I would say, 2/3 of it, so shut up. Also, tell me where the cut is. Did anybody spot where there were 5 minutes chopped out of this match?
Oh, Kieran, you should have chopped out the other 11 because he was shit. Absolute shit.
Really?
You know what? How he got a WWE job for about a month is beyond me. He is an actor playing wrestling.
Wow. I thought you were going to go to town on Jack Xavier, seeing as he's drawn your ire in recent episodes. No, you're down on Hayde Vanson.
Oh, I don't see it. Absolutely don't see it. He's just very pantomime with all his movements. Like, oh, I'm a bad guy. I've got to do this now. And no.
Interesting.
Rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
Hey, just remember, this man could have, beat the Undertaker streak.
No, he could.
Just so you know, that's what they hyped him up for.
Tell you what, Mark would have made him respect the business. That would have been for certain.
He couldn't have beaten up an Undertaker, let alone the Undertaker. Eddie, how about you? Do you hate Hayde Vanson as much as Andy does?
No, I don't think I do. Not in a bad way. I mean, the finisher was great. The end sequence on this was really, really good. I felt, again, there was a moment where I thought that Linsky could clearly see the title shot, the hit from the belt, but he didn't. I thought it was okay. I mean, I'm not I'm not like Andy Ogden, who's just going to shout Sawa, very, very shit, or something like that, I just, it was
there was only one skinny boy in this match, and he was on the babyface team.
I mean, to be fair, seeing Vanson on the same show as Loki is very much a kind of, here's a mini version of you.
If we have Loki at home.
The Loki you want and the Loki at home. I thought it was okay. I didn't have any massive.
Yeah, it's
complaints.
fine. Like to me, it was a decent 3-star tag match. Like there was nothing wrong with it.
I went 2.5 on it as a match.
Oh, okay.
It was just one part that was not for me. I think.
Fair enough. We'll note this down for future. The inclusion of Hayde Vanson knocks half a star off a match already.
Well, it's it looks like going to be a permanent tag team, aren't they? These two.
They are an STD.
Oh, God.
Balder and Balder.
Oh no, it's going to be a year-long reign of terror with these two. Or Alex Shane carrying the work for him.
To be fair, at least he's because I think he's what he does now. He's a breathing exercise guy. Probably that's calmed down.
Fucking hell, that's money for old rope, isn't it? Just sitting around and breathing in and out. I do that every day. I don't get paid for it.
He helps athletes unlock peak performance through breathing exercises. That's what Hayde Vanson is up to nowadays.
What's he going to do? Get a load of plasters like Robbie Fowler back in the day? That'll make you breathe easy.
He just tells you to dress up like Nelly with all the strips to the nose.
Alrighty. Ad break, and when we come back, Birchall's bong goes off in the middle of the bumper, and it's time for another monster moment. This one is clips of Birchall and Simmons beating George Castano and Stevie Knight in New Frontiers in March. And if you look, you'll see that Mr. Simmons has been added to the disclaimer ticker at the bottom of the screen. John quickly recaps the family Hampton Court angle from last week and then throws back to Tony and Nick in the Morecambe Dome. Yeah, that's probably it. Morecambe Dome as we join Simmons versus Paul Travell from May the 29th in progress. Not the company, in progression of the match. We come in just as Simmons is starting a comeback. He stamps on Travell's feet, gets a 2 count off a top rope double axe handle. He gets thrown off when he goes up again because he's taking too long telling a fan that he doesn't like heights. Travell gets a near fall off a leaping Rana off the second rope and makes some silly faces as he squeezes Andy's head against the top rope in the corner. We get a rarity in this match. In fact, this might be the only appearance of Greg Lambert playing the heel manager in Morecambe. Because on at the Morecambe shows, he was the babyface local promoter.
Okay.
And I don't recall him playing this role outside of this match. So Lambert's yelling at Travell to get the job done, taking his focus off Simmons, and the Butler takes over again, running Paul into each top turnbuckle, but gets thwarted on the last one and dropped with a clothesline. Travell then does this great drawn-out sequence where he takes the turnbuckle pad off, shows Linsky, kicks Simmons in the nuts while it's getting put back on, takes it off, shows Linsky, pokes Simmons in the eye while it's getting put back, takes it off, shows Linsky, kicks Simmons in the nuts while it's getting put back, takes it off, shows Linsky, chucks it to the floor, pokes Simmons in the eye again and hits the spine buster. But because Linsky has had to go further out to get the pad and put it back this time, he completely misses the cover, and then Lambert is irate when Simmons kicks out. This was one of those things that is simple in concept but complicated in execution, and they pulled it off perfectly. I really enjoyed this sequence.
Yellow card. Where the fuck is the yellow card? Like,
we haven't actually seen a lot of cards, have we?
No, and like the thing is, like it's like I think we saw a yellow card. We saw a yellow card for one of the things which was really petty before. Like he's removing that turnbuckle numerous times. You can clearly see that he's doing that. That should be.
And it did say. Remember, we got that memo from Pat Roach Productions or whatever it's called, saying that defacing the ring was a yellow card.
Like, it just felt like, again, especially, I mean, don't get me wrong, if he's doing the heelish bit here, which, again, doesn't seem like it for any reason, it's just so kind of wishy-washy as to when he decides he wants to be, gets more money in his pocket to not deliver a ring to Blackburn and then decide, oh, maybe I won't give this, a yellow card at this point. It's like, make up your mind and make the decision, or stick with it at least, because this was getting on my nerves. I was like, fucking just give him a yellow card at this point, Linsky. Stop wasting my time. Like, why are you not giving him a yellow? And like, the thing is, I fucking hate the card system. I don't think the card system's fucking good within this, but I'm just getting to the point where during this, I'm like, no, just do it. And he didn't keep doing it. I was like,
I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't like it, but if you're going to introduce it, use it as you've said it will be used.
Yeah, it's like we're having to deal. I'm sorry, but Andy Ogden's having to deal with every fucking FWA title match being the worst fucking gimmick that he hates ever. So, like, if he has to put up with that, then I can at least get restive and reenact the fucking rules and give him a yellow card for what needs to be a yellow card.
So
I'm not unhappy. I'm not angry. You know, I'm just, you know.
okay.
No.
Eddie, I'm just thinking you're just angry because you don't like referees being made to look stupid, innit?
He doesn't like referees that actually get paid.
If you are listening to this, Mitch of Breed, just pay me. It's all fine. We'll all be good.
It's only been for 5 years.
It's only been 5 years. I got cave pneumonia. Everyone else did. So that at least give me some money in my pocket. I just think that, as I say, like, again, if we're doing, obviously we're trying to put everything on Linsky. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been no other ref in these episodes that I can shout at.
No, it's been really weird that all the matches have Linsky as ref.
Because one of the comments in one of the other episodes is like, who we need to speak to the head of the referees. Linsky is the head of the referees, but we've not seen any other referees entirety on this.
Yeah, I do wonder if this means we're in for an Andy Quilden heavy episode in a couple of months.
Oh, thank God! There's a man. But no, I just feel like, again, like with segments and stuff like that, like with stuff, just try not to make it too much. Like, don't get me wrong, you're leaning them on this crutch to be the fault when you want to try and cop out of doing something that the fans aren't going to agree with. But then you've got these set of rules. Are you either just deciding not to enforce them, or are you just going to do whatever? And it's just messes. Again, people complain about AEW and referees being made to look fools. Like, this is the same stuff that people would be complaining about if they were watching it at this point.
So, back on May the 29th, 2004 in Morecambe, they botched something to do with the ring post outside. And then back inside. So, Travell goes for this move where he swings around the ring post into a wheelbarrow. But Simmons is one step too far back and Travell just falls on his face. The commentators tried to sell it that Simmons took a step back, but he clearly doesn't move. They get back in the ring. Simmons gets near falls off a slingshot sunset flip, a roll up and a backslide, but Travell hits him with the sacrificial slam and pulls Simmons up at 2. He selects a chair from the hardcore bin, shoves Greg off the apron when he tries to stop him using it, and then turns around into the Butler Buster and gets pinned. Before we go to the break, London reminds us that eventually the family have to defend the tag title against Simmons, but who will his partner be? Duke of Danger or Birchall?
There's a good shot as well where after it happens they do a great shot to Lambert, who just looks at the camera and is like, I told okay.
I enjoyed that as well, Eddie.
It was really good.
Really good shot.
He's angry and then he sees the camera and he's like, well, what can I do about it? I'm not rating half a match, although much more of this aired than I thought. I thought it was only 3 or 4 minutes, but it's more like 7. And I don't know what the point of it was. It felt like a chapter in a story that didn't need to happen. Simmons didn't need to reaffirm his claim to the tag title, and it wasn't a super interesting match. And in hindsight, you probably could have just done a video recap of the angle from last week and put in the rest of the opening tag match, rather than air this.
I mean, obviously they do the whole bit, and then it's like, well, is the Duke back by the? Because obviously the Duke, we now know the Duke is back, but the Duke is obviously nowhere to be found at this bit.
He wasn't on this show. he didn't wrestle on this show.
And then obviously there's no like attack from the family or anything like that after it. So it's
because they weren't paying for 4 of them to travel up just to do an attack.
Just choose to.
Yeah, I see the Rochdale face of Dissent.
No, there's no dissent here. I agree with you. The match wasn't much because there weren't many notes on my pad here, but I did think it was a nice fit between Lambert and Travell. Just having that, him don't use the weapons. I think it's working down the line as in the story with that. It wasn't offensive as a set.
Yeah, I think you've hit on something that I didn't realise. I was thinking this was more about the broader family Hampton Court story, and it wasn't. This was more about Travell distancing himself from the family and not being in step with them anymore. I just don't know if I needed 7 minutes of half a match to figure that out.
Yeah, 'cause it's sort of like
It's like a house show match has accidentally made it onto the TV.
Yeah, but it's like Lambert's try to, I don't know, get Travell to do stuff against his will, or he's just, he don't want any of it, does he?
It's not. He's trying to get stuff
yeah.
He's not trying to get Travell to do stuff against his will. He's trying to get Paul to not do stuff that is in his nature.
Yeah.
So Paul at the moment wants to be the hardcore icon hero, and that's where he's being pulled by the fans. But Lambert doesn't want him. Lambert wants him within the family and to fall in line with the Drew McDonald doctrine and worship the photo.
All right, so he's going to just constantly feed him square sausage and.
I think you've just done a racism there, judging by Eddie's face.
Well, let's just not go. Let's not say stuff we don't regret, right? I think what Andy's trying to say, and you are trying to say, is this is a Velocity or Sunday Night Heat match that's been found on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, kind of, yes.
Nothing fucking
Except
wrong
I
with square
didn't
sausage.
insult Caledonian cuisine while I was doing it.
Yeah, nothing fucking wrong with square sausage. It was there. I mean, it was just there more than anything. I think the wheelbarrow botch on the outside did look very sore.
Yeah, I probably could have found a way to edit that out, to be honest.
I like how Alex Shane is doing his Triple H mode of booking with long-term, slow-burning storytelling with the Paul Travell turn. But yeah, I just again that lamb shrug was quite good. I enjoyed it.
And I will admit as well, square sausage is lovely. 10 for $1.99 at Farm Foods. Oh, top notch.
All forgiven, and you can also go to a nice place in London for it. So it's all good.
So back from our break, Atkins runs down James Ty's losing streak and asks if his fortunes will change as he takes on Low-Ki in the main event. Clearly, he's never seen Low-Ki before and knows that Low-Ki does not do jobs for people he's never heard of.
Kieran, I'll let you know now. The amount of notes I did on this match.
Yes.
0.
Wow.
Totally 0 notes.
Wow. Okay.
You want to know why?
Because you hated it?
No, because Low-Ki were involved. And I was like, well, I wonder who's winning this one.
Fair. That is fair. Yeah.
And James Ty. Sorry to get to the end of it. James Ty. Yeah. Low-Ki's not losing this one, and James Ty, because of his story, isn't winning this one. It's like, remember off Harry Hill where he did stalagmites and stalactites?
Yes.
James Ty, paint dry.
It felt like, how you watch that video that keeps getting shown around with Low-Ki straight shoot knocking his opponent out in like a couple of seconds with like a capo kick, a running capo kick. Like, I would not be, when I hear, even though don't get me wrong, I saw the running time and stuff like this, but I wouldn't have been surprised if you just said as a big fuck you to Alex Shane to go, do you know what we're going to do? Just going to capo kick you in the first 18 seconds and then that's it. Because there's just no way, when I'm imagining Low-Ki's opponents in FWA, I'm thinking, oh, it'd be good against Doug, or it'd be good against Johnny. And then with James Ty, I'm just like, oh, for God's sake, this should be over in 5 minutes, let alone how long time they've been given here.
Well, June the 18th, 2004, Carpe Diem, Brent Town Hall, joined in progress. They grapple around a bit. Key backs up in a lock-up, so he climbs up the buckles and slips out into a hanging armbar over the ropes. And then they go back to grappling on the mat again. Eventually, Low-Ki turns up the heat with some stinging chops and a great Muta flashing elbow. And then they do a bit more grappling, and Ty hits I called it a pretty sick cravat suplex that someone needs to steal full time, and mocks Low-Ki's pose, which is not going to win him any favours. Ty keeps the advantage with a long front face lock on the mat, a leg drop, and a double arm submission using his legs that Key needs to reach the ropes to escape. Low-Ki gets lobbed out into the aisle, but cuts off a tope at the ropes with a flying kick. And now it's Brandon's turn on top with hard chops. There's kicks, there's uppercuts. As London says, if Ty can beat someone the caliber of Low-Ki, who, don't forget, is a big independent star in 2004, it will effectively erase the entire losing streak. Key uses a series of big upward swinging kicks across bent over Ty's chest until James catches one, turns it into a dragon screw, and we go to break. Out of the break, Ty is in control with a chin lock that sees Key needing to use the ropes again. and he fires off these chops again and hits a flying forearm. They rush at each other from opposite corners, and Key wins the collision with Liger's rolling Compo Kick and scores again with what today is Cody Rhodes' disaster kick, but Low-Key was doing it 20 years earlier. James kicks out. Ty gets out of a Key Crusher attempt by rushing Key back into the turnbuckles, then climbs up for a moonsault. Key crotches him, pulls him out into the Tree of Woe, and kicks the shit out of his chest. And when James sits up after two of them, Key grabs him by the hair and kicks the shit out of his shoulders instead. Then climbs up, locks in the Dragon Clutch, hanging Dragon Sleeper in the corner. Ty avoids the corner charge and grabs a near fall off his twisting Tiger Driver thing, which, by the way, this is another move that has ended up in Dragon Gate. 20 years on, Shun Skywalker uses this and calls it the Blaster.
Of course.
What? Shun Skywalker actually does wrestling?
Yes. Oof. And a James Ty move at that.
Unbelievable.
Anyway, Ty gets kneed in the top of the head like 9 straight times when he goes for the Titanic, and staggers Key onto the apron. Key tries to get the Dragon Clutch on again and ends up slingshotting over the ropes onto Ty's back. Ty manages to reverse the situation and hits this lovely... He does this thing where he does a Tiger suplex lift but drops the arms to round the waist into a German suplex. That looked really nice. And there's a loud FWA chant breaks out.
Yeah.
Ty drags an exhausted Low-Key up into the Titanic again, but Key slips out the back, drops him with a Compo Kick to the back of the head, and clamps on the Dragon Clutch. And after about 30 seconds, Linsky rules James is unresponsive and calls for the TKO. Nick London asks, what has happened to the once mighty James Ty, the new young hope of British wrestling, now with 5 big losses in a row? I go back and forward on this match. Like, sometimes I'm really into it and sometimes I'm not so fussed. And yet again, there's nothing bad in it and they drag the crowd in by the end, but I'm not wildly excited by it. It's long too. So 18 minutes of this made TV, and that was after, and we joined after the bell, and there was some stuff cut out during the ads. I've ended up at 3 1/4, but that is mostly on the technique and the execution alone. Again, apart from the Ty losing streak, which has an asterisk against it, which we'll get into in a couple of weeks, months, shows, whenever, there's no story. Like, again, it is just our guy against International Star of the Month.
I'd say a 3 for Low-Key and a 0.5 for James Ty within this match.
He's getting a battering this week. Fucking hell.
He gets, there's a bit where he gets slammed on his head with a deadlift from Low-Key, and I was like, oh, so this is where we're going with this, and it just does not let off.
I am trying to remember if this was the show where somebody had a word with Low-Key about how rough he was with his opponent. It's either this or we have one more Low-Key match to go. Not for a while yet. We will see one more Low-Key appearance. And it's either this match or that match where somebody got hold of him and went, fucking sort yourself out, mate. Stop hitting people so hard, it's fake.
I mean, he's from that world of like Homicide and Eddie Kingston and stuff like that. You just don't think, like, you could say it, but like it's just not gonna.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you do like about his match is he does lay it in, but there's some people who it's like you just need to lay it in with still a little bit of holding that back.
You don't have to try and kick through people, I guess. Yeah. Where does the man with no notes stand on this?
It was what it was. That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
I think my enjoyment of it, or lack of, is just probably because I know Low-Key's reputation of
that is a big problem. Yeah,
wanting to have a good cage match record, didn't he? Like, yeah, but one of those things, and you know, they say about wrestlers today, just think of your character more and like be protective over it and don't just lose to anyone. Well, he took it literally, didn't he?
Yeah. Low-Key built an entire personality out of that.
Well, then again, lads, I bet that soon got booted out of him in the WWE, right? You're getting lay cool with you instead. And,
and you're losing a lot.
A lot.
It's very fun. It's very weird because like during this time, like because I was watching Kawada versus Hashimoto, and you can see in one of the corner. This does make sense. I promise. It's not just me going on a random tangent. And you see in the corner Loki there, and you're like, if he's watching stuff like this and seeing those two lay it into each other, then it's like he's just being goaded when he's in Japan, going, well, I'm just going to do the same. I'm just going to still be that. And then I'm just wondering who is the person who came to him and went, mate, you need to sort this fucking out now.
There are levels to it, though. Like, you can do it for when it's in front of thousands of people in Japan and a big deal. 400 people in a town hall in Wembley against a bloke who's getting paid 75 quid. Like, it's not... and I'm probably stretching that, to be honest. It probably was nowhere near that. Like, you know, is it worth it? You know, I can't remember who it was. It was some wrestler I once heard that says, yeah, I can do a moonsault off the top rope to the floor, but I'm not doing it on a fucking Brian Dixon show. I'm saving it till I'm in the main event of WrestleMania. You know, you don't... yeah, it is a bit much. I know FWA try and present themselves as big time, but they're really not. And yeah, this level of low key is too much, I think. And like, you're right. You know who's going to win before the bell rings.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Small time. I'm on my way. I'm making... and just one final note. What's it called? The Compo Kick.
Yes.
For all these years, I've been calling it the Compo Kick. You know, like the bloke out of Last of Summer Wine.
That's when you roll out of a bathtub and kick somebody. So we go back to John for the outro. The clock has beaten us, he says. You can tell this was the last episode in a taping session because he doesn't set anything up for next week and just says, come back for another exciting episode. Same bat time, same bat channel. In fact, nothing is set up for next week at all on this show. The MO I developed when making wrestling TV became, I've got you this week. How can I get you to come back next week? And there's none of that here. There's only the reminder that the family will have to defend against Simmons and a partner soon. And there's more to go in that story before we even get there. Again, another sort of bog standard episode, I think. I call them story occurrences rather than progression and okay matches. But I think anything would have been a bit of a come down after that Last Man Standing and Duck versus Storm episode we talked about last month.
I think as well, like the James Ty storyline hasn't really had anything other than just he loses the matches. We've not had any kind of promo where he's like, I'm very sad I've lost. I mean, probably for a good valid reason at that point, but you know, it's like it's in the ether as far as we're concerned. This like it's like the A storylines and the B storylines, and then you know, like
and this is definitely one of the B storylines.
Yeah, I mean I think an A storyline would probably be, as far as everyone's concerned, the Shane verse, especially given how the way the boss thinks it is. But then I just feel it's progression. These are progression shows from what we're seeing.
Yeah. You're not ready to quit yet, Andy, despite the amount of James Ty and Hay Vanson you've had to sit through.
No, it needed more Johnny Storm this episode. But
Johnny Storm.
I enjoyed the Doug Williams and D'Lo Brown match. I really enjoyed that. D'Lo, just surprising how well he wrestles. The family stuff with Simmons, I think that's probably one of the better things going on at the moment. The Shane verse.
You don't like it because of Jack Xavier, let's be fucking real. Yeah,
Jack Xavier I don't like. Aid Vanson I don't like.
Yeah.
Good job of my hands there. It's still, you know, watchable. Don't get me wrong, there's still good bits in it, but as in terms of storylines, there's something missing somewhere.
I think part of this is, so as much as I very much think he's a massive bellend now, I kind of subscribed to the Jim Cornette thing of wrestling fans want to see wrestling on their wrestling show. So I'm filling these with as much wrestling as possible. And if there isn't a promo, well, tough shit. You know, I'm young and foolish and looking at these from the wrong angle when I'm making these shows, I think. I'm looking at, like, obviously we have to get some storyline stuff on, but I can put good matches on the show and then get John to tell the stories in the void.
Yeah. But it's a thing. It's like the thing nowadays with, say, WWE and AEW. I tend to like the promos more than anything. I know they're always like bloody 15, 20 minutes long, but I enjoy watching them more than. No, I'm not Shawn Michaels. Come on, Eddie. Staring in your hands. No, I just tend to enjoy that more than the matches and sells. But it's
I just more so imagine you're this when you watch a Jack Xavier match and wondering why you are so violent at that point.
Wondering why he wants to punch a Brummy all of a sudden.
I think I get where Andy's coming, and I do get where you're coming from as well. In terms of is wrestling is the main thing of this entire kind of
they're trying to be seen as a UK Ring of Honor, for example. Like they're trying to be seen on that level. And what is Ring of Honor? Like there are storylines running through, but what is Ring of Honor other than 4-star match after 4-star match for 3 hours?
Your belt doesn't have a storyline. If you're being a TV show, your belt doesn't have anything other than the fact is that Doug, obviously, and again, one of the other problems is your champion is in America, in Japan, and everywhere else. So, like, you're not having that main focus on it. It's like when people complain about WWE when their champion was someone who was on a part-time schedule or something like that and wasn't there. It's like you don't have this major point, so you're leaning on the Alex Shane, I am in charge, and a big baddie kind of thing.
Eddie, and it's a thing 20 years later in British wrestling that they're still doing nowadays, where you only have to look at Rev Pro, the champion Monet away in America. We're still we've got to decide between what we've got. Well, what we've got have all got 1-8 records. There you go.
Yeah.
And it's another thing as well. That's another thing with like AEW as well, with the records kind of thing. Like you can, records. The reason why they started it looked well in hindsight to begin with, because of Tony's kind of mind for that stuff. But then you're kind of having to and then it only got brought back because when Samoa Joe was champ and stuff like this, it is difficult. And again, it's it's why you can't give someone who's contracted someone else your belt, because then you don't know whatever's going to happen. I mean, I know I'm bringing up random points, but like Omos was in Noah and he was the tag champ, and then WWE called him back and they're like, well, fuck it, I'm just dropping this belt now. It's like with Doug being there, you don't know when one of these, Doug's going to wait for Japan for a long period of time and stuff like this.
That's the thing. Our belt at this time is on the most in-demand wrestler in the country.
And I get why.
And this is not the priority. Like, he's not getting paid to do an FWA show what he's getting paid to do a tour with Noah.
And it's like, when he comes in, it's like, right, what can we do? Okay, so we have D'Lo Brown this month. Right, we'll put him against D'Lo Brown, but we won't do any program with it. We'll just kind of have D'Lo Brown versus Doug Williams at the end of the main event.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is it for another month. Eddie, are you done with your legal troubles?
Let me check. Hold on 1 second. Yes, I am. 5-Star Wrestling, sponsored by Sideburns Worldwide and Sideburns Brand. We're still kind of, again, the numbers keep changing as far as how many people are going to be in this tournament, so please get back to me on that. But I am in talks to buy the 1 PW copyright. Not naming any names whether I'll actually get it or not. But yeah, things are looking good for Sideburns 5-Star Pro Wrestling. But more on that as we go along. You can also find me on Blue Sky at Eddie Sideburns. The Twitter account is retired. If you want to follow it, that's fine. I do have something to plug this month for Ray. I am a Grapple King of the Mountain. Shout out to Grapple, love them, great lads. And I have decided that this month we are going to cover the CZW versus Ring of Honor feud from 2006. So you can see a lot of Chris Hero, a lot of Claudio Castagnoli, Samoa Joe, and just to show how a good interpromotional feud can be done. Yes, that's right. I'm looking at you, WWE, and your consistent promotions with other people. So but yeah, so yeah, as soon as that comes out at some point, please, if you're a Patreon of Grapple, please go and listen to it. But yeah, thank you.
Tremendous. Andy, what's going on in the world of craps and claps?
Not much.
Oh.
Not much recently as of recording, because sort of took like a month off going to shows because nothing really interests me.
Yeah, but that followed a month of basically a show every day for a whole month, didn't it? Like,
did,
you were
yeah.
unstoppable.
Yeah, so I deserve my time off. Just go and listen to all the episodes of Shite, Muck, Reslow with Kieran. We've got another one of them coming up where we've got Giant Haystacks versus Pat Roach. I can't wait to watch that one.
We do indeed.
Headlocks and bloody neck vices. And Orig Williams. It don't look like there's any murderers on the next show. So,
there's usually at least one despicable criminal every taping, isn't there? I'll have a good dig and see what I can find.
So you can follow me on X at Oggy Part 3. Follow my podcast at GCP Podcast 1 and go and listen to it on all good podcast platforms.
Fabuloso. You can find everything to do with this show at linktr.ee/FWApod. We are on Twitter, Blue Sky and YouTube at FWApod and Instagram at FWA.pod. As for me personally, if I haven't been taken away by the helicopter I've been able to hear above my flat for the last 5 minutes, you can follow at Kieran Edits on Blue Sky. Thank you very much for listening. Next month, we're breaking the format, and there's 2 things you can do about it. I just thought it'd be funny to press that button again.
I love it. Please have that button on a consistent basis for the love of God.